Am I the asshole if I stop paying my daughter's tuition over a disgusting comment she made towards my new girlfriend? My 56M wife died at the young age of 51 from a car accident. I was in deep mourning for about a year after her death. I met my new GFC, 43F, around January. She was the one who made me laugh for the first time after my wife died. She's smart as hell, 3 Ivy League degrees, has a dark sense of humor that I love, a terrific cook, and overall an amazing woman who I can imagine spending the rest of my life with. She is also on the heavier side, a fact that becomes relevant later. I have 2 children, E, 25M, and A, 19F. They were well aware that I had gotten a new GF before I first introduced them to C this summer. She got along immediately with E, but A was very standoffish. After that initial meeting I asked A if there was something wrong, but she denied it. C made a few more attempts to get to know A, but they were all rudely rejected. E and they both came home for Thanksgiving dinner. I asked A to please be polite during the meal since she's always been rude in her interactions with C, even though C has been nothing but gracious in return. The dinner was going as well as it could have for the first 10 minutes, although I noticed A glaring at C the entire time. When C went to grab her 3rd helping of mashed potatoes, I said, "Don't you think you've eaten enough, you fat pig?" C started sobbing immediately and ran off into the bedroom. I felt my face turn red and told A to get out. About half an hour after A left, I texted her stating that I would no longer pay her tuition unless 1. She apologized to C and 2. C accepts her apology. I must have assumed that I was bluffing because she instead doubled down on her behavior during Thanksgiving dinner. I then logged into her university's tuition payment website, cancelled next semester's tuition, and sent A the screenshots. She called me crying and begging me to reconsider, but I told her my mind was made up.
Everyone sucks here. Something more is undoubtedly going in between C and A. You need to find out why A has such a strong dislike of her and reacted so strongly. A is probably still deep in mourning for her mother. You've managed to put your grief behind you, but the process is much slower for some people. Seeing C in her mother's place at Thanksgiving was probably very hard on your daughter. That doesn't excuse her rudeness, but it might explain it. Secondly, you've made your daughter's tuition dependent on C accepting her apology. As the fees are something between you and your daughter, that's not appropriate, especially as C seems to be the issue here. I would also agree with everyone sucks here. Please try looking at it from your daughter's perspective up. It may not excuse her actions, but at the very least, don't punish her for her grief. I've been in a similar situation, though it happened to me at a much later age. I have lashed out, and I still despise the new woman. Because the speed at which the new woman came into his life made me question everything up to that point. Was the marriage ever real? In the case of your daughter, she has the added grief she needs to process. And in her eyes she might feel she hasn't had the time to. While she's still grieving, you've brought this new person back and forced her to accept, again, the reality that her mom is truly dead, and that you've already moved on. Am I the asshole for not telling my fiancé I used to work as an escort? I, 35F, just got engaged. I've been with him for 2 years and he's amazing and think he'd be a great father to my children. There is, however, a secret I haven't revealed. About 3 years ago, before I met him, I briefly worked as an escort. It wasn't long, about 4 months. And I don't have some sob story about how I felt abused and exploited, because frankly I didn't. Like any job, it had its good and bad parts. I don't have some dramatic story about escaping it. I stopped simply because I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't require therapy or rehab, I just moved on and got a normal job. I have been regularly tested and have no STIs, nor so I have any emotional scars from it. So I told myself it's now no one else's business because it won't impact any other relationships. However, it feels wrong I can't share this. He once asked how many sexual partners I had, and I simply said a lot and told him technically the truth, that I was prolific at one point in my life but no longer am and don't intend to do so. I'm still scared to potentially ruin a great thing if I reveal it, but I'm also not looking forward to keeping this a secret for life. AITA for keeping it secret?
There was a guy on here a week or two ago who found out his wife was an escort at some point and thought it made her damaged and a bunch of other nonsense, and he was ready to leave her. You'd be better off telling him now and not 15 years from now he finds out and takes it really badly. You're the asshole, technically. I feel like the technically at the end is important. I'd argue no asshole here, but it's definitely true that Op should tell him now. If he also starts going off about damaged goods and other bullshit, she dodges a major bullet.
You're the asshole. If you honestly believe that knowing this about you would cause him to end the relationship, then you are marrying him under false pretenses. The element of fraud in that makes you the asshole. If you want to also consider whether him dropping you over it makes him an asshole too, I would have to say having sex for money is rather more extreme than simply having an active sex life, and being unable to get past it is, while not saintly of him, at least understandable. It's also no way to live, waiting from the other shoe to drop. Agreed. Great response. Update: am I the asshole for not telling my fiancé I used to work as an escort? So I thought of what everyone said and considered both sides. I decided that I didn't want this hanging over my head in our marriage. So it was tough, but shortly afterwards one night I had a few glasses of wine and told him I had something I needed to talk about. I had considered seducing him, having sex and then telling him so I could at least do it one last time, but decided that would be manipulative and dishonest. So I sat down and told him, when I said I had a lot of sexual partners it was over a stint of about 4 months as an escort. He was taken back a bit and said that's not something I'd expect. I figured no one would. I dress modestly, I'm pretty conservative with drinking and I volunteer with the kids programs at my church. I had tears in my eyes and asked him if his opinion of me had changed. He said, well, what you did didn't stop you from being the woman I fell in love with, so why should it? I started crying more. Tears of joy. I begged him to let me know if he had any apprehensions or questions or if it had come between us in any way. He said he might have questions about any cool or sexy stories sometime, but for now no. He even made a quip about no wonder you blow my mind in having sex, you were a professional. Not really the type of joke I'd normally appreciate, but in that time it was perfect. And we ended up going to the bedroom not too much later. So now I feel like a huge weight has been lifted and I know just how much my fiancé loves me and what he's willing to tolerate in me. It's wonderful. We're both in lockdown basically now, both working from home, and I'm so thankful to be able to be with a wonderful and amazing man who I love so much and who loves me so much. Thanks to everyone.
Am I the asshole for pranking my girlfriend to show her she's wasting money? My 27M girlfriend, 25F, is really into what she calls self-care. We don't live together, but I spend the night at her place and have to shower there before work a lot. Whenever I shower there she asks me not to use her shampoo and conditioner and to use the other ones in the shower. I thought this was weird and asked her why the other day. She told me she buys custom shampoo. I looked it up and it costs $32 to order. I think that is such a waste of money and told her that I've used the stuff and it isn't any different from any other shampoo. I feel like she's being scammed and is just wasting her money on vanity. She doesn't agree and I wanted to help her see what I mean. I bought shampoo and conditioner the same color from the brand my mom uses, I think it's called V05, and replaced the stuff in her bottles. After she showered the other day, I told her how nice her hair looked. She responded that's why I use my custom shampoo. So she proved my point. I told her what I did and she freaked out just because I threw her stuff away and helped her save money. She told me to leave and got really upset and said I made her feel dumb. Now she texted me that she has to reconsider if I'm emotionally mature enough for her. She's being crazy, but am I an asshole? What does shampoo have to do with emotional maturity?
You're the asshole. You sound like the kind of guy that uses 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner and body washington. What does shampoo have to do with emotional maturity? It's not about the shampoo. You were so desperate to prove that she was being dumb that you poured out and wasted the shampoo and conditioner, directly undermining your own point. Are you 5 years old? What could you possibly have to gain by doing this? You destroyed something that your girlfriend enjoyed and spent her own money on just to feel superior. Also, $32 is not that much for shampoo and conditioner, that's $16 for each one. There's way pricier stuff on the market. She could have a very good reason for not using cheap shampoo. Textured hair, colored hair, chemically treated hair or certain medical conditions all require different treatments, and some products can actually ruin her hair if that's the case. I'm not convinced this is a true story, BTW. Sounds a bit like a fake awful brag to me. But, since I have no proof, I'll assume it's true, and be among the first of many, understatement, to officially declare you're the asshole, you're the asshole, you're the asshole. I had the same thought, mostly because how would anyone not notice their shampoo and conditioner smelled totally different?
Edit, the bottles were already almost empty, so I didn't even throw that much away. Edit 2, I've gotten messages from incel-type dudes supporting me and telling me I did the right thing. They used vulgar, gross and demeaning language to talk about my girlfriend. If that's the kind of person my actions are resonating with, I am more than willing to accept that I was a major asshole and owe my girlfriend a humongous apology. I'm embarrassed and I'm sorry.